Imagine waking up each day trapped in a cycle of impulses, reacting without thought, driven by momentary cravings that promise comfort but deliver exhaustion and chaos instead. This is the invisible prison many of us live in, unaware that real freedom doesn't come from letting go completely, but from mastering ourselves. In this video, you'll discover 6 steel-hardened lessons rooted in Stoic wisdom that will reshape your mindset and unlock a profound inner freedom through the power of self-discipline. We'll begin by exploring the silent but powerful moment that happens between impulse and action, the pause where true strength is born. You'll learn why controlling that brief instant can change the entire course of your life. Then, we dive into the art of setting boundaries, sharpening your ability to say no, preserving your energy, and guarding your time like the treasures they are. Next, you'll see how relentless daily consistency, even in the smallest acts, quietly forges a resilient character better than any grand, fleeting gesture ever could. But that's just the start. Prepare yourself to face discomfort head-on, because growth never blooms in comfort zones. You'll find out why embracing pain and challenges is not just endurance, but a fuel for your transformation. We'll also tackle the liberating wisdom of focusing solely on what lies within your control, releasing the weight of unnecessary stress and frustration. Finally, you'll understand why every act of discipline needs a bigger purpose, a guiding star that gives meaning to your effort and fuels your journey forward. This isn't just a video. It's an invitation, a call to look inward, challenge your habits, and embrace a disciplined mindset that breaks chains instead of creating them. By the end, you'll not only see discipline as a burden, but recognize it as the key that unlocks your true power, serenity, and purpose. So stay with me until the end, because the transformation awaiting you isn't just possible. It's inevitable once you choose to wield these timeless Stoic lessons. The following lessons to transform your mindset. 1. Master the pause. Control your immediate impulses. 2. Build character daily. Harness the power of consistency. Embrace discomfort. Turn challenges into growth. 5. Focus on your sphere. Let go of the uncontrollable. 6. Live with purpose. Align discipline to a higher goal. If this is making sense to you so far, and you're finding value in these timeless ideas, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message of inner strength and freedom. We've already begun to peel back the layers of self-mastery, exploring the profound power of the pause between impulse and action, the crucial art of setting boundaries, and the quiet, consistent forging of character through daily habits. These aren't just abstract concepts. They are the bedrock upon which a truly free and intentional life is built. But the journey of self-discipline isn't always smooth. It often demands that we step bravely into the very spaces we'd instinctively avoid. And that brings us to our 4th steel-hardened lesson. Embrace discomfort. Turn challenges into growth. Embrace discomfort. Turn challenges into growth. Our modern world is an ingenious architect of comfort. We've designed our lives to minimize friction, to avoid strain, to soothe every ache and quiet every challenge. From instant gratification at our fingertips to environments meticulously climate-controlled, we're often shielded from the very things that could strengthen us. Yet, just as a muscle only grows stronger when it's put under resistance, our character, our resilience, and our inner fortitude only deepen when we willingly step into discomfort. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca, for instance, spoke often about the practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, where one mentally rehearses potential adversities. This wasn't about inviting misery or dwelling on negativity, but about inoculating oneself against the shock of misfortune. It was about training the mind to recognize that hardship is an inevitable part of the human experience, and that by mentally preparing, we can strip it of its power to overwhelm us. More than that, they advocated for voluntary hardship, practices that deliberately introduced a degree of discomfort into one's life. Think of Epictetus, who lived a life of deliberate simplicity, or Seneca, a wealthy man, who would periodically live on meager fare, wear simple clothes, and endure conditions far beneath his means. Why? Not out of penance, but out of practice, to remind himself that external circumstances do not dictate his inner state, and to build a robust indifference to material fluctuations. How does this translate to our lives today? Consider the gym. No one achieves physical strength by sitting on the couch. You push, you strain, you feel the burn. It's uncomfortable, often painful, but you know that discomfort is the signal of growth. The same principle applies to your mental and emotional landscape. Consciously seeking growth through discomfort. Physical discomfort. This is perhaps the most obvious. Beyond the gym, consider a cold shower. The initial shock, the intense urge to retreat, gives way to a sense of invigoration and mental clarity. It's a small, controlled act of facing and overcoming adversity. Or perhaps it's waking up at an earlier hour than you'd prefer, when your bed feels like the most welcoming place on earth. A discipline to rise despite the urge to stay warm and comfortable builds mental toughness that spills over into other areas of your life. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of choosing the harder path when it serves a higher purpose. Mental discomfort. This often manifests as learning a new, challenging skill, tackling a complex problem at work, or engaging with ideas that challenge your worldview. Our brains, like our bodies, seek efficiency and familiar patterns. To break free from these, to push into areas of ignorance or difficulty, generates mental friction. It's uncomfortable to feel incompetent, to struggle with a new concept, or to admit you don't know something. Yet this is precisely where learning and intellectual growth occur. It's in the struggle to grasp a difficult book, to master a new software, or to analyze a problem from multiple angles that your cognitive abilities are honed. Embrace the frustration, for it is the grindstone upon which your intellect is sharpened. Emotional discomfort. This is perhaps the most challenging to embrace, yet arguably the most rewarding. It involves having difficult conversations you'd rather avoid, setting boundaries that might disappoint others, or confronting your own fears and insecurities. Speaking your truth when it's unpopular, apologizing when you've made a mistake, or even sitting with feelings of grief or anxiety instead of immediately trying to numb them. These are acts of immense courage and self-discipline. We live in a society that often encourages us to outsource our emotional regulation, to binge watch, to overeat, to endlessly scroll. Anything to avoid the raw, uncomfortable experience of our inner landscape. But to truly grow, we must lean into these emotions, understand their message, and choose our response rather than merely reacting. This discipline builds emotional resilience, allowing you to weather life's inevitable storms without being capsized. The peril of the comfort zone. The danger of a life exclusively dedicated to comfort is stagnation. We become soft, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. When the inevitable challenges of life arrive, as they always do, we find ourselves ill-equipped, overwhelmed, and prone to despair. By deliberately engaging with discomfort, we are not just enduring, we are actively preparing. We are building a psychological arsenal, honing our ability to adapt, to persevere, and to find strength even when things are difficult. This discipline teaches you a crucial lesson. Your well-being isn't dependent on the absence of challenge, but on your capacity to meet it. It transforms your perception of pain, not as something to be avoided at all costs, but as a necessary ingredient for strength, wisdom, and a profound sense of self-mastery. The disciplined individual understands that true freedom isn't the absence of struggle, but the internal power to navigate it with courage and purpose. This brings us to another cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, one that liberates us from the tyranny of external events and directs our energy where it can truly make a difference. Our fifth lesson is to focus on your sphere. Let go of the uncontrollable. 5. Focus on your sphere. Let go of the uncontrollable. Imagine pushing against a stone wall with all your might. You expend enormous energy, feel the strain, perhaps even injure yourself. Yet the wall remains unmoved. This futile effort, this expenditure of precious resources on something utterly beyond your influence, is a metaphor for how many of us live our lives. We fret over things we cannot change. We obsess over outcomes dictated by external forces, and we allow our peace of mind to be held hostage by the unpredictable currents of the world. The Stoics offered a profound antidote to this pervasive anxiety: the dichotomy of control. Epictetus famously stated, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our impulses, desires, aversions, in short, whatever is our own doing. Our bodies are not up to us, nor are our possessions, our reputations, or our public offices. In short, whatever is not our own doing." This isn't just a philosophical concept. It's a practical framework for living. It encourages us to draw a clear line in the sand. On one side are the things that fall within our direct influence: our thoughts, our judgments, our intentions, our actions, our character. On the other side are things entirely outside our control: the weather, the past, the opinions of others, the actions of other people, global events, our health, beyond our efforts to maintain it, and ultimately, our mortality. The liberating power of letting go. When you truly internalize this dichotomy, an immense burden lifts. You realize that much of the stress, frustration, and anxiety you experience stems from trying to control the uncontrollable. Other people's opinions and actions. How much energy do we waste trying to please everyone, to control how others perceive us, or to influence their decisions? The Stoic recognizes that these are external to us. We can act with integrity, communicate clearly, and treat others with respect, but their reactions, their judgments, and their choices are ultimately their own. Trying to manipulate or force their compliance is a recipe for endless frustration. The discipline here is to do your best, act virtuously, and then release the outcome and others' responses. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop demanding a specific external reaction. Past events, regret and rumination about past mistakes or missed opportunities are common human tendencies. Yet the past is immutable. We cannot change what has already happened. What we can control is our interpretation of the past, the lessons we draw from it, and our actions in the present moment as a result. The discipline is to learn, forgive yourself, and move forward, directing your energy towards shaping a better future rather than reliving an unchangeable past. Future uncertainties. The human mind is adept at conjuring endless scenarios of potential future problems, most of which never materialize. While prudent planning is wise and within our control, dwelling on hypothetical misfortunes or outcomes that are largely beyond our influence is a source of immense anxiety. We can prepare, we can mitigate risks, but the future, in its essence, remains largely uncontrollable. The discipline is to focus on your actions today that align with your values and goals, trusting that you will meet whatever tomorrow brings, with the same inner resources you are building right now. External circumstances, e.g., traffic, economy, news. We cannot control the sudden traffic jam, the fluctuating stock market, or the latest distressing news headline. What we can control is our response. Do we succumb to anger and frustration, allowing these external events to hijack our inner peace, or do we accept them with equanimity, redirecting our focus to what we can do? Perhaps use the traffic delay for mindful breathing, adapt our financial strategy to economic shifts, or engage thoughtfully with information without letting it consume us. The disciplined person understands that external events are merely raw material for our internal faculty of judgment. Applying the dichotomy in daily life. This principle isn't about apathy or indifference. It's about intelligent allocation of your most precious resources. Your time, your energy, and your attention. In a difficult conversation, you control your words, your tone, your intention to listen. You don't control the other person's reaction or understanding. Focus on your contribution. In your career, you control your effort, your learning, your integrity, your work ethic. You don't control promotions, company politics, or market trends. Focus on being excellent in your role, in your health. You control your diet, exercise, sleep, and medical adherence. You don't control genetic predispositions or the ultimate trajectory of disease. Focus on consistent, healthy habits. The discipline here is to constantly ask yourself, is this within my sphere of control? If the answer is no, then the disciplined response is to acknowledge it, accept it, and consciously redirect your mental and emotional energy to something that is within your power. This practice is not passive. It is an active, ongoing process of discernment and deliberate choice. It is the ultimate freedom from being tossed about by the whims of fate and others' actions. It is the realization that your true power lies within, in how you choose to perceive and respond to the world, rather than in vain attempts to mold it to your every wish. This focus on what is within your control empowers you, freeing you from a vast ocean of unnecessary stress and regret, and preparing you to align your actions with something deeper. And this leads us to our final and perhaps most vital lesson in unlocking profound inner freedom. Live with purpose, align discipline to a higher goal. Live with purpose, align discipline to a higher goal. We've explored how discipline allows us to master our impulses, protect our energy, build character, embrace challenges, and focus our efforts. But without a guiding star, without a why, even the most robust discipline can feel like a burden, an endless series of arduous tasks performed for their own sake. This is where purpose comes in. Discipline without purpose is mere drudgery. Discipline aligned with a higher goal transforms into meaningful effort, a powerful engine driving you towards a life of profound fulfillment and inner freedom. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature. which they interpreted as living in accordance with reason and virtue. For them, the ultimate purpose was eudaimonia, not mere happiness, but a flourishing life, a life well lived, characterized by virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. Every act of discipline, every choice to exercise self-control, was seen as a step towards this overarching purpose. It wasn't about rigid adherence to rules, but about cultivating an inner state that allowed one to act consistently with one's highest values, regardless of external circumstances. The why behind the what. Think about a disciplined athlete. They endure grueling training, strict diets, and sacrifice immediate pleasures. Is it simply because they enjoy being uncomfortable? No. Their discipline is fueled by a burning desire to compete at the highest level, to achieve a personal best, to win a championship. The discomfort is endured, even embraced, because it serves a clear, compelling purpose. In our everyday lives, this principle is equally crucial. In why wake up early? Not just to wake up early, but to have quiet time for reflection, to exercise, to plan your day, to work on a passion project before the demands of the world intrude. The purpose is to gain an edge, to cultivate inner peace, or to advance a personal goal. Why say no to distractions? Not just to be rigid, but to preserve your focus for meaningful work, to protect your mental space, or to spend quality time on what truly matters to you. The purpose is to live intentionally, to create, or to connect deeply. Why face a difficult conversation? Not just to be confrontational, but to uphold your values, to foster genuine connection, or to resolve an issue that hinders progress. The purpose is to cultivate honesty, respect, or personal growth. Without a clear purpose, discipline quickly erodes. We tell ourselves we should do something, but the should lacks the internal fire to overcome resistance. When you connect your disciplined actions to a deeper why, to your core values, to your vision for who you want to be, to the legacy you want to leave, then those actions stop feeling like obligations and start feeling like empowered choices. They become integral steps on a path you've deliberately chosen. Discovering your guiding star. How do you uncover this higher purpose? It's an ongoing process of self-inquiry and reflection. Identify your core values. What truly matters to you? Is it honesty, compassion, growth, creativity, integrity, contribution, freedom? Write them down. These are the non-negotiables that will guide your decisions. For a Stoic, virtue itself would be a primary value. Envision your ideal self. What kind of person do you aspire to be? What qualities do you want to embody? How do you want to show up in the world? Your disciplined actions should be in service of becoming that person. Each act of self-control is a brushstroke on the canvas of your character. Define meaningful goals. Beyond short-term gratification, what are the larger objectives that resonate with your values? These might be related to your career, your relationships, your personal growth, or your contribution to your community. These larger goals provide the long-term motivation for daily discipline. Reflect on what brings you deep satisfaction. What activities, when engaged in, make you feel most alive, most aligned with your true self, even if they are challenging? This isn't about fleeting pleasure, but about profound fulfillment. When your discipline is aligned with such a purpose, it transforms from a heavy chain into a powerful lever. It's no longer about deprivation, but about intentional allocation of your life force. You're not saying no to indulgence just for the sake of it. You're saying yes to your most cherished values, to your deepest aspirations, to the person you are striving to become. This is the ultimate freedom. The freedom to live a life chosen and actively shaped by your own will and purpose, rather than being swept along by external forces or fleeting impulses. It is the freedom to build a life of profound meaning, one disciplined brick at a time. So there you have them, 6 steel-hardened lessons, forged in the wisdom of Stoicism, ready to reshape your mindset and unlock a profound inner freedom. From mastering the pause between impulse and action, to protecting your precious energy with unbreakable boundaries, to quietly forging an unbreakable character through daily consistency. We then moved to the transformative power of embracing discomfort, understanding that growth never blooms in comfort zones. We discovered the liberating wisdom of focusing only on what lies within our control, releasing the burden of the uncontrollable. And finally, we've seen how every act of discipline gains its true power and meaning when aligned with a higher purpose, a guiding star that illuminates your path forward. Remember, discipline isn't about being rigid or depriving yourself of joy. On the contrary, it is the pathway to true joy, to eudaimonia, to a flourishing life. It is the ultimate act of self-love, the commitment to building the strongest, most resilient, and most purposeful version of yourself. It's not a burden. It's the key to unlocking your true power, serenity, and purpose in a chaotic world. As Epictetus wisely taught, no man is free who is not master of himself. This self-mastery, this inner freedom, is not given. It is earned through the consistent, deliberate application of these very disciplines. It is the daily choice to live deliberately, to act with intention, and to build a life that is truly your own. What single lesson from today's discussion resonates most deeply with you? And how will you begin to integrate it into your life starting today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message has resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the channel for more insights on Stoicism and personal growth. Thank you for staying with me on this journey. Until next time, keep practicing, keep growing, and keep striving for that profound inner freedom.